What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Julius, and I'm back today with another video for dating with mental illness. A segment on this channel where I talk about what it's like dating with mental illness. Last time I did one of these videos was actually this time last year. Maybe a little bit earlier, like maybe April 2023. Bitch. So much has happened, but also so much has not happened. What does growth mean in terms of relationships, in terms of having healthy relationships, in terms of wanting healthy relationships and wanting to just relate and be in a communal space or in an intimate space or in any type of space with any other type of living human being or any living being? Like, what does that mean? And how do I do that? And I think that's kind of where I'm at in the sense of wanting to do better for myself. What the fuck am I trying to say? I've been wanting to do this video for a while now, like ever since this time last year, but honestly I got so tired of talking about it, got so tired of talking about the relationship I had with this person, and I was also a little bit embarrassed because basically the last thing I said was, clearly I'm upset, clearly I'm like just not okay, and I'm really just crying and pissed off and just not able to even express how I'm feeling. I've expressed how I've been feeling, and rather than trying to make me feel better, they've combated me on how I should be feeling. Clearly I'm not okay. Clearly I'm distraught. And if drinking and having fun with your friends, something that you did last night or 2 nights ago, if that's more important, then that's more important. I can't like dictate that and change that. But for me, that would have been a flag in my head, an alert to be like, fuck that shit does not matter. I'm about to come to make sure that you're Gucci, that you're good. If you cared about me in the ways that I cared about you, or rather, if you cared about me in the ways that you say that you care about me. Well, update. I started dating this person, like officially started dating this person, like officially, last year. This time last year, actually. It was June of 2023. And well, that lasted until August. So it was literally a summer fling. And it ended the exact same way that it's always ended. And then it started back up in like October, and then officially we got back together officially in December of 2023. That lasted for like 3 weeks. And then it ended all over again, the exact same way it's always ended, like even before the officialness, like during our situationships. It ended exactly the same way it ended up. And then we started talking again briefly for like a day or 2 days, just 2 to 3 weeks, just like 2 to 3 weeks ago. And then of course it ended just the way it's always ended. While there were lots of problems in our relationship at certain points, at different times, at different seasons, the reason why we are not together and the reason why we broke up, I don't think is because we did not care about each other. It was not because we didn't love each other. I think it was, and I don't say this in like a negative way against them, but we were at different points in our healing, different paths in our healing, where they simply weren't willing or weren't ready to be willing to work on certain things. And when I say certain things, I mean it's a lot about insecurity. Feeling insecure and not knowing how to communicate with somebody else, and letting those insecurities, or rather those insecurities that we all have that aren't necessarily reality, this person would allow them to run rampant in their mind to the point where they then became reality because they were acting on the insecurities that were in their mind. Their behaviors were acting as though those were true. So what does that look like? In August, right before we broke up, there were lots of conversations and lots of arguments and lots of like just fights about things that personally I didn't understand. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I didn't get it because they just hadn't happened. They weren't true. Or there were things that, I hadn't said, or things I hadn't thought, or things that like I hadn't done these things. So when arguing with them, it's like we're arguing about things that they're thinking that I think about them. We're arguing about things that they're thinking that I'm doing like on purpose or I'm not doing on purpose, or things that I don't want to do, which was hella confusing. And it's even more confusing when, I wouldn't call this lying, but essentially they would say that they're okay with something, they would say yes to something, they would say something is true, they would be okay with something only to find out later that they actually were not okay with that. Or vice versa, the opposite. They'd say no, they'd say that I'm not okay with this, they'd say I don't like this, but in reality they actually did want this. So they would say the opposite from what they were actually desiring. Obviously this became a problem because not only did it, manifest into fights where they're actually angry about stuff when I don't know they're angry about stuff because they've said they're okay with it, but it changed the dynamics of the relationship to the point where they were kind of a caretaker, honestly. Or they were not a caretaker, but they were so consumed with what I wanted and what I thought was okay. And like, there was no exchange. There was no sharing of responsibilities or sharing. And we weren't a team. They essentially took on the relationship all on their shoulders by themselves, whether that was financial, whether that was emotional, whether that was time commitments, whether that was, I don't know, whatever that was. They took on so much and they wouldn't allow me to really take on anything. And they would then even hide what they wanted or hide those things to the point where I couldn't give back to the relationship. I could not, because I did not know what I should be giving back to, because I didn't know what was true and what was not true. And I was not even allowed the opportunity to do so because they would shut it down and say no. More concretely, this looked like, I don't know, this wasn't this past summer, but again, this happened throughout our relationship, our official, unofficial relationship. Just a few months ago in January, I think we were talking about, I was like, I want to go to the Balloon Museum and I want to take you to like brunch. We should do brunch. We should do something. And they kept on saying, no, I don't want to. Like, it's fine. Lo and behold, we ended up breaking up because we didn't do anything. We didn't go on dates. And, it was just like, we didn't have quality time. It was the whole thing. But the reason why they said no to brunch was because they thought that with my whole money issues and my financial situation, they wanted me to save my money and to spend it on something that I guess I needed to spend on. And I tried to convey to them, number one, if I'm asking you, let's go to brunch, and I'm telling you, let's go to brunch, it means I got it. Like, it doesn't matter. I got it. It's fine. More so, though, it's that them, like, they would want to do stuff. They want to go on dates. They want to do that. But it's like they didn't believe that I could handle, like, they don't believe that I got it, I guess. Brunch is not the reason why I am poor. I promise you. No, there's very little places on this earth. I mean, even if the bill, unless the bill is $1,000, then like, sure. But the bill could be 300, 200, 100, whatever it is. I promise you, that's not breaking the bank. That's not reason why we don't have any money. We don't have any money because we lost $72,000 in a year. That's why. And that's not even the point. So I tried to explain to them like, hun, brunch is not going to break the bank. I promise you brunch is not going to break the bank. We might not be able to go to brunch every day, but I promise you saving me this little 60, 70, $80 today is not doing a damn thing for me. It's not helping. It's not hurting. It's just like, we walk outside and you spend $100. So like what? So it's that type of dynamic where obviously if I was the person who was always paying for things and doing things and like giving back in the relationship and I wasn't allowing my partner to do it, if I was always the one doing shit, I would feel some type of way, bro. Like, I would be like, bitch, this bitch doesn't do shit. This bitch ain't worth shit. Like, I don't feel like I'm always giving. Like, I would feel some type of way. And naturally, this person did. It just sucks in the sense that, for whatever reason, not only were they unable to communicate and talk about these things and open up and, like, try to work out something, they were unwilling to. Like, they were unwilling to talk about their needs and what they wanted and what, like, to this day, I have no idea, like, how I could have fixed it because they were unwilling to work with me to fix it. There would be times where I would wake up in the morning early, they would still be asleep, and I would go into the next room, I'm at their place, and I'd start doing work, right? Because I'm freelance, I have to work. If you know what freelance is, like, sorry, I have to work kind of all the time. People are always like, you can't work all the time. It's like, well, bitch, listen, if you don't work, you don't eat. I would start working, and they would wake up, and they would just be, like, obviously aggro, obviously passive-aggressive, obviously, obviously just here with it. And I'm like, okay, this bitch is waking up angry. What's wrong? What's going on? And they would say, like, nothing's wrong. I'm perfectly fine. When obviously, you're not perfectly fine. You're short with me. You're, like, passive-aggressive. And, like, you're walking around here like you fucking hate the world. So, obviously, you're not fine. What is wrong? They were actually upset at me because I was doing work. Not because I was working, they don't care about that, but it was that, I only get to see them for a short amount of time, and it felt like, waking up together, spending time in bed, blah, 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 blah. That was always like a nice time for us. I loved that, but I couldn't always do that, especially recently, because I had to work. But I did not know this at the time. So they're walking around angry, pissed off, blah, 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 only to come to find out that later on, or after I had left their place, they'll text me like, well, I guess I just don't mean that much to you. I guess I'm just not as important. You have better things to do. You have more important things to do, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, now, so wait a minute, let's back up. Had you told me that you had a problem with me doing work and that you felt this way, when I asked you, when I was at your place, had I known this, don't you think that we could have spent those last 3 hours together, those last 4 hours together, like instead of you being pissed off and angry and me asking you why, and you telling me no, that you're not angry, but in fact you were, I could have fixed it within that time frame. And instead of being angry that 3-4 hours and wasting that time to us together, because I have no fucking idea why you're upset. Don't you think you could have said something then and there, and then I would have been like, oh, I'm so sorry, babe. Let me just finish this one thing, and then I'll be right there, or this and that, or this is why I'm doing this, or I had no idea. Maybe I can push this off. Like, I don't fucking know. But we could have spent that time together. Don't you think that could have been, like, so it's things like that their insecurity about, like, me thinking that there are more things that are important in that, like, in this scenario, at least, like this specific scenario, them thinking that, like, there's more important things that I have to be doing right now, and that work is so important that I have to be doing these things, that I won't make it my priority to make them a priority. Like, which I would say I would do. I would try to tell them. I would try to show them. I would try to, like, have them believe this. But the fact that they didn't believe it, of course, therefore made it so that they would never... Do y'all understand what I'm saying? So ultimately, that's why this relationship ended. And it's really brought up a lot of feelings inside of me. I mean, there's a lot of other shit, too. A lot of other shit that I don't know if I'm going to unpack. I'm definitely not going to unpack it in this video, but, like, maybe we'll unpack it another time. This, though, specifically, the big reason as to why we're not together, has triggered the fuck out of my childhood trauma. And I'm trying really hard not to see this personally. I'm trying to see it as, like, this person has work that they need to do, that they're not willing to do with me, that they know they need to do, but they're not. The fact that they're not willing to do it and they don't want to work on this, because they even saw, I brought up these examples while we were talking about getting back together. They even saw what the fuck I meant. They saw that I told them, I was like, hey, I'm not even given a chance to try because you're not giving me a chance. You don't tell me. They saw that, but them saying that they're not willing to, they don't know what to do, they don't want to work on it, they can't do this, they can't work on it, makes me feel like, okay, well, bitch, you obviously don't love me enough, because if you say you love me if you love me like you say you do, then wouldn't you want to work this out? Wouldn't you want to, like, try to fix it? Wouldn't you just open your mouth and talk? Is how I'm seeing it. And for me personally, it's my mom and just basically how I was born, and just the whole thing is that I am not sure if this is a problem, but when it comes to love and caring about people, despite popular opinion, I care deeply about the people that I love and that I care about and that I think about. And I think about them often, I mean. There's very, like, if I care about you and you're my person or you're my people, there's very little I wouldn't do for you. And I'm trying to think how to explain this. Growing up, my birth mom was not always there. She did not... I wouldn't say she didn't want me, but that's where my brain was just about to say she did not want me. I'm pretty sure I would have been aborted if she knew she was pregnant. And, she was in and out of my life due to mental illness. But essentially what in and out of my life means is that, like, she would say, hey, you're going to come spend the weekend with me, because I lived with her sister, my aunt. I lived with my aunt and uncle growing up since I was 4. And she would say, like, hey, I'm going to pick you up for the weekend from school, and you're going to come stay with me. We're going to have a great weekend. We're going to go to the zoo. We're going to do all these things, right? Friday would come, school would be let out, and I would just be standing there, and she wouldn't be there. She wouldn't come. She wouldn't show up. Sometimes, if I was lucky, she would be late. If I was sort of lucky, she would be there the next day. If I just wasn't lucky at all and just had, like, bad fucking luck, she wouldn't show up for, like, a week, 2 weeks, a month. One time, I think it was a year. And it was this pattern where she would say she was going to do something, and she wouldn't. And not only would she not do it, she like there would be no communication as to not doing it. That would happen on Christmases. That would happen on my birthday. That would happen on just random weekends, like I was saying, to go stay with her. That would happen. That happened one time. We had thrown her. She was supposed to come over for her birthday. We had thrown her a surprise birthday party, and she didn't show up. And we had blown up all these balloons. And I remember, like, I was so little, I can barely remember the details, but I just remember waiting up all night for my mother to show up so we could surprise her with the surprise birthday party, and she just never did. And I remember it just being so, anyway, I can't get into that. And I always thought as a kid, and I'm realizing this now as I unpack some of that trauma that I've forgotten about, is that as a kid, I never understood, like, why. Like, I understand mental health, I understand mental illness, I understand drug addiction, believe it or not. Like, I understand all of these issues, but you can get help for those things, right? You can get better. You can want to get better. And I'm not saying that she didn't want to get better. I'm not saying that she wasn't better at certain times, but it's like, I am your son. I'm your child. I always equated it with value and love. Like, do you not love me enough to get your shit together? Do you not love me enough to get your shit right? Like, do you not love, like, you see what this is doing to me, right? You know, you understand this, but you're not able to do it. That's how I equated this with this relationship. And I'm trying really hard not to do that with my mom, and even though she's passed away now, I'm trying not to do that with her and how I think about that situation. I'm trying not to do that with this relationship. I'm trying not to do that in general in life, that sometimes it's not about you, sometimes it's not anything about you. It's about that person that you're dealing with, and it's about so many other things besides what your worth and what your value is and like how lovable you are. But it's really, really hard because in my mind, I'm thinking like, if you love me, like you say you love me, you would at least try. You would at least try to work this out. You would at least try to communicate. You would at least try to show up. You would at least try not to do the things that you know hurt me. Like, you know hurt me. And I'm not saying that I haven't hurt other people. I'm not saying that I don't hurt people. I'm not saying that people don't hurt people in general. I'd say that on the other side of things, I kind of sometimes go out of my way and hurt myself by trying not to hurt other people, if that makes sense. The people that I care about. I can't even think of an example right now, but like, I'll do things that I know will benefit someone else, knowing that I shouldn't do it, knowing that it'll hurt me, knowing that, like, you know, it'll hurt them, yes, if I say no or if I don't do it or whatever it is, but it will hurt me. And I don't think that's healthy either. Especially when I could just tell them and they'd probably be disappointed, but they'd be okay. But I digress. It's not just the fact that this person doesn't want to try to communicate and see what that looks like and try to, like, see how to do this, and that they don't want to do that. They feel like it's too hard, I guess, and they're not ready. I can't blame them for that. Try not to. But it's at the same time, like, seeing them on, like, apps, like dating apps or hookup apps or whatever the fuck you want to call it, and seeing not only seeing them that they're on there, but seeing that they've created like a new profile and it's all filled out, and like the point is that I'm seeing them do all these other things in terms of communicating with other people, but like the person that they say they love dearly, that they love so much, they can't do that. So when we've tried to be just friends, it's like they've agreed to it. I said, cool, I know this is going to be hard for me. And then them kind of just not following through with it, not wanting to communicate, because obviously us being just friends has to have a lot of boundaries, has to have a lot of conversations. I don't know. Them not wanting to do that and them saying that they're busy, it's like you can almost copy and paste the text message from what they say, like when they get overwhelmed with things and when they don't want to deal with feelings and when they don't want to talk to me. It's not copy and paste directly, but they say they're overwhelmed. They say work has been a lot. They say they've been going through a lot. Like, I can search in my phone the times when this has happened, because there's a pattern to us dating, not dating, dating, not dating, fight, trying to be friends, dating, whatever. There's a pattern. So I can go through my text messages quite clearly and be like February, September, June of last year, like, or May of last year, March of last year, November. Like, I can go through, I know exactly when these text messages have appeared, because they'll say, like, I'm too busy, I'm too tired, work has been a lot, I have a lot going on. Like, I can't respond to your text messages super fast about whatever it is, or I can't, like, I'm over, like, whatever it is. But it's like, okay, so you can't do these things with me, the person that you say you love and that you're so sorry about the relationship not working out. But you can talk to strangers online. You can fill out profiles online. Like, you can, it has to be me, bitch. It has to be me. And that's where my mind goes. My mind goes to, like, you don't care enough about me. I'm not, like, valuable enough to you. Because if that was true, then you wouldn't, like, you would be able to at least text me back and say, hey, I can't get to this right now. Let's have a conversation on this at another time. And again, right now I'm talking about us trying to be friends, which is kind of the most recent development. Surprise, surprise, we can't be friends because they're not willing to talk about the certain boundaries that I need to have in place, because they see those boundaries as me saying that they are terrible people who have hurt me, which is not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying, like, it's just that, you know, there's certain things that they think that every single time I bring up something that's wrong with the relationship, or not even wrong, but like, you know, you have a friend, right? They do something that kind of like pisses you off, but doesn't even piss you off. It's just like, oh, please don't touch that, or please don't like touch my hair, or I don't like when people chew with their mouth open. Can you close your mouth? Thank you. That was really helpful. The person that I was dating, who I'm trying to be friends with right now, or was trying to be friends with, they think every single thing like that is like this gigantic PTSD, traumatic mental illness thing for me, where that's not the case. So they'll say like, I don't want to hear how I've hurt you so badly, and I'm so sorry. I can't hear about it, how I've done this anymore. And I'm just like, it's not about that. It's more so, it's more so little things that can help this friendship. Like, hey, if you can't text back on this serious topic, just tell me that. Just send a text message saying like, I can't talk right now, but let's talk at another time. Or tell me like how my texting can help you better. Like, I want to know like, how does my texting overwhelm you, and how can I not do that? They see that like me having an issue with them not telling me that. Like, I want them to tell me that so that I don't feel like I'm not valuable, like I don't feel like I'm not loved, so that they can communicate with me and I can communicate with them. That's why I'm asking. But they see me asking them that, or they see that initiation from my side as being like, you don't text back right, and you're doing this, and it fucking hurts me, and I'm traumatized. Does that even make any sense to y'all? It's very complicated. I don't know. Where was I?